be awesome, get it done, go to the next room. But at the same time, the star system is this thing that you can explore and revisit, and so it's not like you go to one room and you never go back. There's a whole map, there's explorations, there are cases that'll take you back. There'll be things where suddenly wormholes open and close that didn't before, and
this is all crafted, right? This is not.
Yeah, this is all
procedurally generated.
No, it's not procedurally generated, and actually that was one of the things we went back and forth, or I went back and forth on. There are some really great procedurally generated games out there. The reason I didn't do that is I didn't think that I could pull off the tuning right to make it a really good, repeatable experience. Right, to get a really good procedural generated game. You really, I mean, it sounds like you put a ton of effort into the procedure generated story side, which you need to. And so what I wanted to do was make sure I could deliver one really solid experience for the player, several hours of gameplay all the way through, something really compelling, and really kind of fine tune those experiences where, oh, you surprise, this ambush happens here, and it's in keeping with the story and things like that. So kind of just to answer the question in terms of the mechanic, I'm really the dialogue is great and the combat's really great, but I really like the fact that there's this universe you can explore, you can fly around, talk to people, land on planets, and you just kind of, take care of this place and, make it a safer, better place, because you are, Commander Kamala, the Starr Ranger. So.
And her motives are to like rid the universe of.
Well, so she's a little action happy, right? So like it's she's just she's ethical and loyal and whatnot. It's like, oh, it's the future and most of our problems are solved. This sucks. Where do I still get to blow stuff up?
Yeah.
And like, oh, a Starr Ranger, sign me up.
Oh, so what kind of space is your game?
So so I can talk about that a little bit. So it is a kind of a humorous future where. All sorts of problems are solved, but there's a lot of throwbacks to ancient technology. So for one of the things is you fly around and can collect punch cards in space. And so a punch card being a super ancient technology. That's just what they make their USB keys look like in the future. But so there's kind of a lot of these callbacks to like these kind of older technologies. We tried to make it very efficient for the player to get things done. So for example, in the game, there isn't a store. Your ship has a 3D printer. And as you just collect monofilaments, if you get enough of them, you can print out a new part and upgrade your ship.
I love the idea that like monofilaments are just like they're just floating around.
Yeah, just floating around. Well, when you blow up ships, right? There's always loot to collect, things like that.
But that actually tells a lot of your story, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has 3D printers. You blow up a ship, of course they have like the stockpile of monofilaments.
Yeah, exactly.
They're also using 3D printers.
Exactly, and so there's the leftover power elements and things like that. We haven't fully tuned the loot system yet, and so that's one of the things we're working on. The game itself is, like I mentioned, it's fairly abstracted, almost kind of to a dungeon crawler vibe, and so you have these star systems connected by wormholes, and of course, but then these young punks can drop wormhole jammers or to lock the star systems behind you, and so you've got to go take care of those things. The vehicles and set design are very 1930s, so you have like these George Jetson Art Deco skyscrapers floating in space alongside these painted planets, and so a lot of the problems that you face, especially with the technology side, are kind of like the fast forward versions of today problems, right? So like the planet of restaurants is about to go bankrupt because they're under attack by the future version of Yelp, and all the reviews are ruining all of their, and so it's like, how do you?
This is the best. It is.
And so,
it's really cool.
Yeah, and so you have to go figure out who's posting all of these bad reviews and then that sort of stuff.
And then blow them up.
And blow them up eventually, right? Because that is the main mechanic, is blowing stuff up. But you will have a choice sometimes to talk to people and get some other things out there. So it's kind of this weird mix of like future tech and ancient tech. And so everything is the future, but it looks very like brass fixtures and gears and kind of not. I wouldn't say it's steampunk. That's kind of a whole different beast. I love that stuff, but that's a different vibe we're going for, which is a little more gritty. This is kind of more like Flash Gordon laser beams and like people in bubble helmets and like, why are you wearing a bubble helmet? Oh, that's just the fashion nowadays.
Yeah,
right? It looks cool. And so yeah, that's like the people ships flying in space. They look like 1930s trolleys. Going from planet to planet.
Yes.
And
that's
so,
really cool.
Yeah, and so we have a lot of. And actually, one more thing I want to mention is the weapon, specifically tying to the weapon system. So the weapons have different flavors, which are kind of tied to like what science would look like in the 30s. Like if you look at old science fiction from the 30s and 40s, everything was like atomic powered, or maybe gravity powered, or maybe subatomic, right? It was all these kind of like, because nuclear physics and the atomic bomb, and so there was that kind of focus around things. I mean, nowadays when you talk about like future stuff, it's all like tachyon this and space-time that, nanobot this, right? It's a different feel. So the feel of this game is more like you have atomic laser beams. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything, right? But the point is that different weapons have different effects on different ships, right? So you might have like the electronic scatter gun that works better against the Series 4 Protectortrons, but not so good against the YOLO squad. And so
every time you see the YOLO squad, I laugh.
The YOLO and the YOLO bosses is the YOLO boss ship. I can't remember if it was Amy or Jane who worked on it, but they did such a fantastic job on that one. It looks really good. I am super excited to.
I'm sure it looks awesome, but in my mind, I'm envisioning that it's got those blinder glasses, and it just blasts Kanye West.
The YOLO King is wearing those shades. Actually.
Yes.
That actually he didn't know that, but the portrait for the YOLO King is actually wearing those shades. And so yeah, that's kind of the future vibe that we're going for there.
Cool.
Thank you, Triptide, for providing the link.
Triptide, you're the best.
You can be playing that game soon.
Yeah, somebody was asking earlier what. Yeah, everybody go click the escapefuel.com/sign-up link and sign up. We want to see Commander come on. Yeah. If you haven't seen Space Dandy, then what has inspired the personality of Brick? Was it from old sci-fi shows like Lost in Space? For me, Brick is the ultimate collaboration of all mid 80s to early 90s badass pilots. He's Maverick and Iceman and everybody from Silverhawks and the main guy from Cops.
So good.
Like, all just thrown into one dude, and he knows it, and he feels like he's the coolest dude, which is why it's the worst thing ever when he finds out that that's not a thing. That's not a thing at all. Cosmic Afro, speaking of decisions, are you planning to have secret achievements when/if unlikely narrative events manage to happen? That sounds like an interesting idea. I don't know how we would, since we are tracking everything that happens, but we're not tracking them with the knowledge of what they are.
Yeah. That actually, like, that hits a note on a thing that I'm not super excited about in achievements, where achievements sort of reward you for playing the game, just playing the game. And I'm not really a huge fan of that. The way I like achievements is when they congratulate you for going the extra mile.
Like opening a menu.
Like
or
that's
using the tutorial.
Yeah, or like
saving
right?
your UI is that difficult. Opening a menu.
Yeah. No, it's a thing. I found that recently. I pressed start and it was like, it's like menu grazer. It's like, I just push fucking start. Like,
and so
there's no reason this should be getting.
I
should get an achievement for this.
So when I think about the idea of an achievement of like getting to a sort of like obscure part of the story, that's like right on the edge because it's like, well, you're just playing the game and that's how the game made sense to you. So it doesn't seem like something to reward you for. But if you play the game in an unconventional way, like for example, we were talking about time spinning the other day, and I wanted to play through it without killing any enemies. Yeah. If the game, like at the end of the game, it didn't maybe it doesn't change the narrative, nothing, but at the end it's like achievement unlocked, played the game without killing. I'm like, thank you. Like you recognize that I put that effort in, and like there's actually a thing about that. There's a term for it in game development, and it's personified in one of the GTA games. There's a place you should not be able to get to. It's on top of a building. You have to like jump a car off and do this flip and cause it to explode, and it's all crazy. But when you get there, there's graffiti on this wall that you can only see if you're there. It just says, "You shouldn't be here." And so like it's that nod to like, you did it. Like, you figured it out, and it's like just having that feels amazing. So that's the way that I love to use achievements in games, and I would be more interested in doing that as opposed to just like if you're playing the game, you go to an interesting spot. That's the way you're playing the game. If you play the game and you get to some weird obscure thing that like we find out that breaks the game, but like we like it enough to leave it in, then yeah, we'll nod to you with an achievement.
Yeah, but that will take a lot of playtesting, and we haven't planned anything. I don't think that those things are plannable things.
Yeah.
Not yet, at least. When you have something like a world with a 3D map, then it's a little bit easier. When you get like John Romero's head on a stick or whatever in that one Dune, like Spear of Destiny.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to, but if you turn no clipping on and you go through the walls.
See it.
Oh, there you Citizen Cybertron asks, so is there going to be a Starr Mazer Commander Kamala crossover? This is not something we've actually discussed. As I've said, I think every broadcast for the last 5 days since the news kind of went crazy about the crossovers, we got them in contact with a lot of those people before we started the Kickstarter, and it takes a lot of work to get those things going. I'm hearing about Commander Kamala. You have to go sign up. I didn't go to escapefuel.com/sign up yet. I didn't know I could. I've not seen the game, so I mean we just met just now. I'm hearing more about it.
This is actually a super early announce for the game, and actually, so the reason I'm here for this actually is I wanted to pick Don and Austin's brains about game design and Kickstarters and things like that. And Austin's like, "Oh, you should be on our show." Like, oh,
just do it live.
our game's not ready, man.
Yeah.
Oh no. And I'm like, all right, I gotta, not be a chicken here. So it's still pretty early.
Right.
That said, hey, anything's possible.
Who knows, man? Did you Neko Dan more likely to die after making a bad end decision than a bullet hell? I think we're saying like a bad point and click style story decision or a bullet hell.
Well, I think what this is speaking to me is that like basically because this was back when we were talking about like sort of like what is death in the game and sort of the consequence of choices in it, like and the fact that like in real life you don't die every day, right? That's not your fear and whatnot. So I love that idea. I would like that to be an experience you could have if you were playing the game in a certain way. That like you're not afraid of crashing your ship or getting blown up in space because maybe you're avoiding that or maybe you're a really good pilot. But it's like you have to be careful who you're talking with. You're getting involved with like really powerful people that have like at a moment's notice can just render you worthless or get you killed. Yeah. And the fact that that's the sort of way that you play Brick, I love that idea. And I want to make sure that there are some experiences that allow that to be your fear, that you're going to say the wrong thing at the wrong time.
That's super fair. I think dealing with Jane is probably one of those scenarios where
because she seems like so harmless,
yeah,
but she's very powerful.
Too powerful.
Yeah. Just as a little, I don't know if you're familiar with the character of Declination Jane. She's a princess, but she's decided she doesn't want to have.
You do not have to save this princess.
Actually, yeah, that's a thing that comes up later. So maybe we can joke about it. It says, someone asked, "Can you save a princess in Starr Mazer?"
Nope.
Well, I kind of want. That's probably the real answer.
Yeah.
My sort of joke answer is like, well, yeah, because she has this wonderful life that she could just take, but no, she decides she wants to go be a space pirate because like she's read about space pirates, or she's heard about space pirates. They're cool, badass. So she goes and she becomes a space pirate. She has her gang of what are they called? Perturbatoids that are basically like her like helpers or servants that like put on this act to make her feel like a space pirate.
Right.
And so
she's got a vizier who like follows her around. He's basically like this ninja dude who's making sure she's not getting murdered all the time. Like,
that's fantastic.
And so she's like a little brat, right? And you just feel like, whatever, kid. But if you say the wrong thing, like she's got that guy that will just like end you, right? So it's dangerous. And additionally, sort of the result of that is like, well, she does have a sort of I guess she does have a problem, which is that she always wants what she doesn't have, and she doesn't understand the real value of like being someone or your responsibility. And maybe throughout your actions, you help her realize that, so you can save a princess. But it's not like
but you can save her by making her realize the error of her.
Exactly. Yeah. Like actually saving a person. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can do that.
Can you come here for a second?
What's up? Any more donuts?
No, you should have a seat right here real quick.
Okay.
Just down here, it's fine. We were talking about Declination Jane.
Oh.
This is Declination Jane.
Right here.
This is
Hey.
Our little space brat.
Yeah, our little space brat from space.
She has feelings.
She does.
So I thought I'd bring you in, and just in case you want to ask some questions. There's a bit of a time thing. Silly question.
Okay.
Will there be an awesome logo animation when starting the game? I remember, yes, there will. There will definitely be multiple awesome logo animations.
Yeah, because there's already an awesome one for Amigo Softworks.
Yep.
There's an awesome one for 2DX.
Yeah.
And Starr Mazer has its own.
It has its own, so there's at least 3 right there. Another question, will Starr Mazer be like Blade Runner? Can we pull our gun at any time or shoot everywhere? Yes! Blast is an option in the story sections of the games. You can shoot anything. I wouldn't suggest it, but you can. That's the thing. So you wanted to talk about Kickstarter. I think we should kind of transit to that. Because
Sure,
you're
let's
about to start a Kickstarter.
No, not for a while.
Well, I mean, you're going to start a
Yes,
Kickstarter. By the way, it's been my experience that over time, Kickstarter changes. So 6 months from now, everything we say about Kickstarter right now
Well, folks, it's been good being here, and if it wasn't for this cat, I would have made an escape.
Ah, perfect timing. Thank you, Scuzzy.
Yes, let's talk about Kickstarters. You guys are on your way to killing it there.
We just saw a number fly by. It looked like
138?
it was 39.
That's a much larger number
Back
than
up.
I saw.
139,035,
Holy crap,
guys.
thank you so
We're
much.
almost at $140,000.
Oh, man.
That's insanity.
We are
Oh my god.
almost right
Starr Mazer.
That's incredible. All right, so let's talk about it. We talked a little bit about
Sure.
Kickstarter before the show, but let's talk about what kind of. You said you wanted to kind of come over and get some ideas.
So yeah, I guess one of the things I want to understand is like, you know, what sort of things, what's been successful for you for engage with, and clearly this show has been successful.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
Completely.
like what else are you guys doing to engage with people out here?
there. We update twice a day.
Twice a day.
That has raised ire with like 4 people.
Yeah.
4 vocal people.
Really?
But everyone else seems to be, and more than those 4 people, there are countless people who have either put in our basic comment sections or our messaging on Kickstarter that they enjoy. Like I had a girl say that she was incredibly excited about, like she kind of just like hits refresh on her email and waits for our updates because she likes reading them, and that's very cool. So that's kind of I don't know. I had a guy from California telling us that that was the worst thing in the world. That we updated so much.
Really?
Yeah, and I saw a tweet once that said turned on email notification, Starr Mazer, turned off email notification. Like that was his tweet.
But I think that's so effective. It's like that's your choice of doing it. But like I don't want to stop the flood of content for everyone who's really into it.
And we only update when we have legit content, and we have legit content at least twice a day. Like that's a real thing. So connecting with the audience is helpful. There are at this point probably around 4,000 people.
Wow.
Who have put in their money to help us with,
That's awesome.
or at least bookmarked their money to help us with Starr Mazer. That has to be respected.
Yeah.
I was reading, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get political here. I'm literally just picking one conversation out of a thing. I was reading an interview with Peter Molyneux. I know, but just this is one line.
Yeah.
One line. Don't you think you should give these people their money back? And he couldn't mentally process the idea. It seemed in the interview that I'd read at a Rock Paper Shotgun that he had taken people's actual money, and he had like used it for things that aren't for those people right now. We're not doing that. This is all for those people, and I think the first dollar you get, that's why on our super show we're having the first guy to back us. He's coming to the show. That he's the first guy to say, yes, I trust you with this game. I trust this game. Interacting with those people is incredibly important, and I think pushing the like generate money button and then like getting on your yacht is not the right answer. So I think that attitude is very helpful, and I think expressing that attitude openly. I found honesty, even when we're like late and stuff for the show. Sometimes things pop up. I had to leave the show once and type an update because we were late on the update just because things had happened. At one point, I fell asleep on our show. And there was enough people, and the show was going.
People still watching. It was like a good show.
When I woke up, I was immediately like angry at myself and super like frustrated. I hadn't slept for like 30 hours or whatever.
Gosh.
But all I saw was a stream of like people like at least he's getting some rest. Like he's been working
That's
very
awesome.
hard. And you
Supportive
get
fans.
this, but they wouldn't be that way if we weren't supporting back and forth.
Yeah.
We're all part of a big team here. Recognizing that has been incredibly helpful.
That's fantastic.
The Twitter support we've gotten from the people who have been part of this is enormous. Just every day people are tweeting. And again, like I was telling you just before we started the show, if you look at all of our backer increases, by the way, I'm calling you guys out immediately. When you look at our backer increase list, we have like 200 backer increases in the last week.
That's fantastic.
And
Thank you.
like when you scroll through those emails, Fuzzy, you see all the Laser Kid, you see all the names that are flying by.
These
Some of
people
them
we're talking with, so they're hanging out with us right now.
they decide, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? Put a little bit more money in there, because I want to make it go. So that's been really big. I think we hit an accident that was really good.
Which was what?
We got lost trying to figure out how the fuck to make a t-shirt. Like, to do it right, not to just be like, oh yeah, t-shirts, $25, and like, we had to like figure it out, and like, we have We dealt with a merchandising agent and all that, and just work it out. We had to design it, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought we weren't going to say we have a T-shirt until we actually have it. That honesty has made us seem kind of dumb at some points,
Right.
but also always paid off.
Yeah.
People are like, but where's the shirt? But where's the shirt? But where's the shirt? And our numbers were progressing naturally and normally and correctly.
Like, were you saying, where's the shirt? Like, where's the reward
We
tier?
want a reward tier with a T-shirt,
Okay.
and we're like, guys, we're not going to put a thing on there unless we know we can do it, and that's something we've stuck to our guns about.
Yeah.
We're not going to say there's stuff on there that didn't go to the third week, but couldn't because we were not going to say, yeah, of course I can do it. Yeah, no, we got it. So we released the T-shirt reward, and we'd already got it'd been a nice growth, natural growth. To what we released a T-shirt.
T-shirts are the key.
Everybody went up to the T-shirts. I'm not saying T-shirts are the key. I wonder if the
Seen
T-shirts
those
were
T-shirts,
available. No, of course.
Yeah, the T-shirt
Seen
post
those,
on
yeah.
Facebook. That was
Yeah,
super
yeah.
sweet.
So
Like,
nice.
I'm gonna get that.
You saw this night,
If
isn't it?
I'm not at that level, I'm moving it up when I get out of here.
But there was this accidental false rarity that was built in us just taking time.
Yeah.
I would never say that. I don't know that we could architect it and say, you know what I'm gonna do, hold off on a thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. In fact, I kind of get in trouble for not holding off
Yeah.
on anything. But that kind of helped. It seems. And every interview that we've done, Austin and myself, there's always 9 to 10 comments, and sometimes in the interview himself saying, these people are just genuinely, unbelievably committed to this, excited about making this
That's
game.
awesome.
And I don't know why we would do it if that wasn't the case. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of baffled when they're like, we've never met developers who are so excited. Why not? Why isn't that? You sound really incredibly excited about your game.
Yeah.
Everything you're saying, you know the game inside out.
Yeah.
So
I've been sitting on this game for years in the back of my head.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, it's time.
You're
to
right,
go out.
it's time.
It's coming.
It's
I can't
exploding.
stop it. It's
Yeah.
coming out. It's
And
just
that's-
coming out of the computer.
That's going to help you to no
Yeah.
end. Some people are just like,
Yeah.
what's up? You're going to make a game, whatever. It looks pretty. I don't care. And then they wait. And the money sometimes doesn't make it.
Yeah.
They put a lot of money into a great video, or they do a lot of I've been working in games for 13 years. And then the game
There's
doesn't
a
make
few
it.
of those,
I'm
yeah.
not speaking to any specific thing, by
Yeah.
the way. I'm just they push the button and they wait.
Yeah.
We have 36 updates right now. I've seen failed Kickstarters that got to day 30 and have 4 updates. What were they doing?
Yeah.
We have all of us, 9 of us are working constantly on making sure this is supported, talking to people, making connections. Every single musician we've got on board, we're trying to find out how friends.
You guys did a fantastic job of pulling in musicians. I mean, that's just incredible.
Half of it's luck.
Yeah.
The other half is hard work.
You got to
obviously.
try though, right? You got to
Yeah,
you got to get out there and.
A couple of them, those original 9, we asked every single one of them. Every single one of them said yes.
Yeah.
And it was because we asked, just like you said, with
Yeah.
the writers, right? You just ask.
You guys have like a soundtrack here, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Our
gonna be
soundtrack.
awesome.
It is now bolstered, and it's
It's
Yeah,
it's
it's gonna be
4
ridiculous.
different releases at this point.
Oh my gosh.
There's the soundtrack proper by Alex Maurer, who's a partner in the company,
Uh-huh.
and also legendary chiptune guy. There's the guest musician soundtrack tier. So the way the soundtrack of the film, or I'm relating to a film
Sure.
of the game it's very much like a film where
Mhm.
like John Williams might do all of the orchestrated music,
Right.
and then there's like pop music or accent music that are other artists.
Mhm.
And then when you buy a soundtrack, you can buy like the John Williams
Yeah,
version or the poppy
Yeah,
whatever version.
yeah.
We're having those. Our guest musicians
awesome.
are all like super awesome, famous musician people, and they're gonna have their own soundtrack dedicated to them, which is all in-game music. Then there's a third album,
Mhm.
which is a remix album. So we have 25 musicians.
Mhm.
We have offers for like 60. And we can't fit 60. And some of those 60 are really like special, amazing, famous people that we would love to put in our game, but can't right now because we cut it off at 20, and then I pushed for 5 more.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a remix album of themes from the game. Not just the theme, but the songs in the game. The Starr Mazer remix album. And then, because of our fans, we set up a milestone. If we had $100,000 2 weeks ago, we would absolutely assure them that all of the theme mixes, which is kind of an advertising
Sure.
thing that we're doing, we're having as many people who want to jump in internally with our
Mhm.
guest music team. They make theme mixes, remixes of the theme, and then we have a theme mix contest. So we released 8 or 9 theme mixes and say, hey, you guys want to do one to everybody?
Wow.
And let people do. We're gonna have the theme mix album, which will be all of our official theme mixes. Theme mix is a word I made up. That's just a remix of our theme.
Patented copyright.
You probably saw. Yeah, I did that a lot. There's the theme mixes, and then we're gonna pick 3 from our contest and put those on the disc as well. So
Nice.
musically, you come away with 4 albums, which is incredibly weird. It's a lot of good music. What do we got?
It's really sweet that everybody was talking about that, how much they enjoy tuning in because they feel like they're talking to real people and that they're not just being corporatized.
We're all real people.
And
Yeah, like
but
they're
then-
actually having
not all
conversations
that.
just between each other.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
listeners, like I look forward to this stream every day, says Laser Kid, and then some of the other folks do too, and then they're like, hey, we're family. It's really, really fucking sweet.
That is nice.
They're not just like, there's this weird thing where, again, in that interview that I was reading, and anytime you read, like, sometimes you read postmortems, rather, not postmortems, postmortems, and you hear people refer to, like, backers like numbers, like you see your biggest backer spike, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's like these are all people, these are human beings
Right.
who are like making life decisions. Some of them, like, I wish I could give more, but I just found out that my car broke down. But I already gave you some of my hard-earned money.
Your car is broken down.
Yeah.
Because you're making that choice.
That's
Thank you.
incredible, and I think ignoring that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, looking at, like, commoditizing humans is the worst thing, and seeing them as like, well, you know, you get your low-level backers, and you get your they're all same level humans,
Right.
giving what they can,
Yeah.
and it's really weird. Yeah.
Fun fact: I actually turned the game that we're playing away from the generic gaming talk show, so we don't get random people in. Rather, I mainly targeted our audience to try to get as many as the best people in.
That's cool. So you can, and Twitch, choose what game you're playing, and there's
Awesome.
like a gaming talk show
Awesome.
option, and sometimes we get people popping in, and they'll be like, "Yo, what fuck? Is there tits in the game now?" And it's like, and what's funny is you see everybody kind of like light up.
Yeah, like actually, like by the time like we get to the point of answer, it's already been
Yeah,
answered.
modded.
because
We've
you
modded
guys-
someone
you
like
guys
fuzzies
already
and
have
mods,
taken
and
care
things
of
will just. Starr Mazer makes me feel superhuman as a backer who, when compared to a few of the other Kickstarters I've backed. That's not accidental. It's also not marketing. Every
It's
single one of those-
appreciation.
It's appreciation. People have been buying us pizzas. We had stew mailed to us. We have people brought. Fuzzy actually came here, and made stew for us. Stew is kind of an ongoing gag. He made two giant, like,
It was so
some of
good.
us are vegetarian, some of us are not. He made a vegetarian stew and a beef stew.
That's awesome.
Came all the way here. That's a thing that, like, from Portland, drove all the way here, or bust all the way here.
Oh my gosh.
Which was in. I mean,
You
that's
have crazy good fans.
yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, this isn't. I don't think this is weird or absurd because whenever when I react to games, I get really excited about them. Whenever my friends like get into the games, it's just the difference there is actually like reaching out to the people, and because of this, we actually have an opportunity to communicate with people, which is like the most amazing thing. Because I'm not making games to like get a ton of money. If I want to get a ton of money, I wouldn't be making games. This is the worst idea to make money. I am making games because there are things that I want to convey to people. I've had experiences, and I want to express those to people through an art form, which is games for me, and I hope that it will resonate with them and maybe make them think about things that they might not have considered, not have experienced. And so the opportunity to actually be able to like hang out with you guys and like meet you individually is amazing. Like every time like I'm getting like some of you are following me on Twitter, and so I go and I check your account and like I get to see your info and I get to learn a little bit about you. Like I am so excited. Thank you, DJ Raid Boss, for the follow.
Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate that.
Also, we have a new feature on Starr Mazer TV. We can actually see your follows on our main screen now, which was not the case before. So that's really cool. We'll make sure to call you guys out more. I'm sorry if we missed anybody in the past. We used to be able to hear the audio thing, but it was echoing in the room, so we don't do that anymore.
And Digineko Dan joining the crew.
Thank you very much,
Yay.
Diginecto Dan. That's the
They
best.
wanted to know if they can be called Mazers or Mazies.
I think Mazers is good, because a Mazer is any energy emitting device, and they emit a lot of
Humans
energy.
emit energy, especially these ones.
Yeah.
All right, that's the term now. I'd actually been like,
Mazers.
some Kickstarters like they do that, right? Like because I back Highlight Drifter, I'm a drifter, right? Like he says, "Hey, drifters,"
Yeah.
right? I'm so excited we have a thing now.
Mazers.
Mazers. Amanda joined us. Thank you
Amanda
so much.
Maurer, that's Alex Maurer's wife, by the way. Thank you for finally following us. Man Out of Time 913 says, I'm just glad that there are people out there who are still able to appreciate this genre, excluding Japan, and are willing to make good games as part of it. Man Out of Time 913, the horizontal scrolling shooter, the classic style horizontal scrolling shooter, is only part of Starr Mazer. I would say that the point and click adventure is probably decidedly Western. Like that seems to be the major.
Yeah.
It was majorly popular in the West. Yeah. So Citizen Cybertron says, I'm just looking at the t-shirt design now. I'm going to have to upgrade my pledge level for one of those, definitely. Still keen on the NPC level, though, if I can raise the cash for it. Citizen Cybertron, definitely get the shirt. That's incredible. But if you make it to that NPC tier, that's incredible. We'd like to work with you and make it.
That would be awesome. Actually, I was talking with one of my buddies today. A friend of mine was asking me a question. He was like, so, like, what exactly limitations? He's like, can I, like, design a character? And I was like, dude, like, we'll do whatever you, like, we will work with you.
Yeah.
If you have a clear idea of, like, the design of the character, what sort of lines they want to speak, like, what do they do, like, and you want to voice the character, like, we will work with you to do that. Like, we want to do the heavy lifting part of the hard part of making sure it, like, works with the game, it's all of quality. But if you, like, have, like, I think it'd be cool to have a fish dude. All right, boom, we'll put fish dude in, right? But if you like, no, like I have this character, they have this backstory, this is the way they speak, like this is how I think they would interact with Brick, this is where they be, like yeah, like all the better. So we will work with you if you are backing with us with such amazing support.
Fuzzy says, it's not just a game, though. It's the passion of the entire crew. That's one of the things that drew me to ignoring my own game and hanging out with you guys in the Peak Squad meetup.
Fuzzy, don't ignore your own game. Your game's cool.
Really cool. So
yeah,
I don't think you should
need
do
to
that.
play it.
What game is Fuzzy's?
He's doing Space Goats. It's Space Goats or Goat. I'm not really sure. My cards don't actually have the words on it. But it's a card game that he spun up himself. He'll be releasing a copy of it. It's really cool. It's super simple. You can learn to play it in 5 minutes.
Awesome.
It's super neat.
And Space Goats?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
There is also, I think this might be a different game, because he was talking to me about the digital game he's working on, where you are climbing through a tower.
Oh.
Yeah. And that was like super raw, and like he didn't want me to play it, so he managed to skate this time.
Oh, yeah.
But you're going to be back in a few days. I'm going to play your game.
So Space Goats is going to have, it has an app that you can use as well along with it. And
Nice.
Fuzzy can tell you all about it, I'm sure, at some point.
Goats,
Space Goat, yeah. Space Goats, Galaxy to Galaxy. It's hot potato in space with goats and cars.
Awesome.
It's pretty neat. It's super cool.
I'm gonna play that.
Starr Mazer, this is the first time I supported something on Kickstarter. Just to say that your game is amazing for me as an old LucasArts / Sierra Adventure Games player. Thank you, Jim. That's incredible.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate that a great deal. I know I'm looking forward to the point-and-click aspect, especially if there are a million ways to die. I just love the old arcade frustration, and I get giddy when there are people willing to continue the tradition. Thank you, man. Out of time 913. It's going to be a little bit harder to die in Starr Mazer, but there will be plenty of things to risk.
Actually, I have a question for Man Out of Time, because that's a thing of Starr Mazer. Like, Brick's a Man Out of Time. Like,
Yeah.
how long ago did you make your account? Is that inspired by Starr Mazer? Like,
That's nice.
or is that a reference to some other cool thing that I should know about?
Citizen Cybertron says, actually, speaking of pledgeons, this one's for the Starr Mazer mods. Are we perhaps any closer to getting the Space Quest and Fate of Atlantis episode rendered for YouTube yet? Sorry to keep harping on this, but I asked questions during these episodes which were answered in great detail, the responses for which I'd like to share with certain people who may or may not be interested in the Kickstarter campaign. Kazuo, why don't you pop in and answer this question directly?
I'm on it.
Done.
Kazuo's on it. Boom, 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 boom. Mariah will remember to get on Kazuo about that, as she is the associate producer, and her job is to tell us to do things.
That's what I do.
So you'll remember that, right?
Of course.
Cool.
I'm gonna go back actually and copy and paste it into my to-dos.
Cool. Do it.
Sweet. Have we've caught up on all the questions.
It seems like we have.
We are with you now.
So I think having a fan base that you can connect with is probably very helpful.
Super key.
The game, I would say, have a game that sounds interesting. But your game sounds super interesting.
Thank you.
So, done. Check.
There was an article. It was the postmortem for Aegis Defenders, page 2 or section 2,
Part 2,
release
yeah.
2, part
Guts
2.
Department, right?
Yeah, pardon?
Was it Guts Department?
Yeah. Their postmortem noted that it said how discussing how important a video is, your YouTube video. They listed one video as the perfect YouTube or the perfect Kickstarter video. It was Starr Mazer's. We were very, very proud of that. That was a giant moment. It's short. It's to the point. It tells you what's going on. You can see the gameplay. We give you a little bit of a pull in, but immediately hit the gameplay. And the minute you kind of get right at the edge of going, okay, I get it, we show you the next bit of gameplay, which is the point and click. So we go tiny bit of story, beautiful music, just tiny, like seconds. Cool ass shmup stuff, all the best stuff that we knew we were going to be able to put together, and then cut the title, and then cut to the point and click adventure. So you think you get it, and then it flips on you, and it's only 38 seconds long.
I remember
good length.
talking with Don right before we were launching the Kickstarter. There was this new content that we had, like this whole beautiful new section, which is actually on the Kickstarter page. And like Don wanted to put that in the video and get the new soundboard and everything.
So good.
And I was like, no, Don, 38 seconds. Like, I will watch anything for 38 seconds. For 40, I don't know if I will anymore. That's starting to like, there's this weird threshold. But I will admit that like, even with the amazing praise that we've gotten, a lot of people do really like the trailer. I love it a lot. It still could be better. One of the things that we did not express in that, which a lot of people call some when they don't read the rest of the Kickstarter, is things about the open middle gameplay and the guts and bucks system and how we're blending the genres. So I love the timing, and if we had been able to, if we had the sort of like knowledge we had now, I might go in and like pick different scenes in there to emphasize those ideas, but the time I wouldn't change at all.
You got to make your decisions with the information you got, right?
Exactly. I think that was the best video we could make at that time. If we made a video now, it would be even better. And the video or the game that we make at the end of it will be even better because we'll have gone through the entire development process. We'll go through that iteration. We'll go through that feedback, and we'll have what Starr Mazer was always meant to be.
So we've got
commandeered your lab.
accidentally release your shirts.
Yeah.
We've got win the crowd. Are you not entertained? We've got good video.
Yes.
Engaging game, which you already got locked down.
I hope so.
Okay, so here's something that I found accidentally happened. I went on Sup Holmes, Jonathan Holmes' show on Destructoid. And we talked for what's supposed to be 90 minutes, but it ended up being like 120 minutes or so. And I just poured out the truth. I just like let it. Every time I fucked it up, every time I won something, I just like spilled everything. And
he has a way of doing that with people.
Yeah, I like to be honest. Honesty is the thing, man. Let's do that. So I spilled on this guy, and he was like, "Listen, man, I want this to happen." And he's a managing editor. Isn't he like the
yeah, he's an editor-in-chief at Destructoid.
The chief editor-in-chief at Destructoid. He's got a big stick he can wave around, and he fancied the communication we had. It was very honest and open, and I think a lot of people get on there like, I'm on Destructoid, I'm gonna market. This game is my dream. I can't give you like the false rigging around that. You're gonna see my dream anyway. I'm already exposed, so that helps. So getting
those connections,
supporters, legitimately, not by like sending somebody to somebody and like whatever. I don't even really know what to do. We lucked out. Austin was on for Sports Ball, and he just mentioned us, and then I got to talking to Jonathan Holmes, and then that kind of splined off.
Actually, technically, it was because I didn't
that's
mention.
True.
Because I totally fucked up.
Yeah, you fucked up.
And I forgot the amazing thing that got made.
It was like regular fucking fucked up, and like this is where you.
Yeah, and that's what I hit, and that caused all this to happen. So I still feel bad about it, but I'm glad the way it turned out.
So there's that. So I if I knew the formula, I think we would have been back to 2 weeks ago, and we would have been smashing stretch goals. Just be honest. You seem like you've got a great game.
I think so.
You seem like you know the hell out of your game in the world that is.
I hope so. And if you guys are interested in trying it, go to escapefuel.com/signup.
Let's post that link in there again, guys. Somebody, one of you mods or something, drop that link in there again so everybody can see it. But yeah, no, it's I think if you just go at it truly, you probably have a good chance. If it's something that burns in you, right?
Yeah, it is, and it's something I'm really looking forward to sharing with people. Right, I've got the blog up and the Twitter and stuff, but there's a ton of stuff to talk about and some super exciting announcements coming that I'm I'm excited because I can't believe these people are working with me on my game. Like, oh my god, this guy does this awesome thing and he wants to work on my awesome thing. Are you kidding me?
And take advantage of that, not in like a shitty businessy way, but people who are fans of his.
Like you'd be excited to hear that person's work on something, right?
Exactly. So like Manami Matsumai, for example, I am her fans. There's no. I've told the story a billion times, but I circuit bent a Nintendo to play only Mega Man music by wiring a Mega Man cart to it and carried it around with me when I was a kid. you can look at this. That's obvious.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I am obsessed with this lady's work.
Yeah.
She's formative. UN Squadron was incredible. This is huge for me.
Yeah.
Being able to work with her is just stunning, and I'm super honored by it. And that the expression of that, as opposed to like, oh yeah, we got Matsumai-san because like fuck them, we're the greatest. Like that's not real. Like there's a reality there, and you being excited to be able to work with these writers, show that to the world. Be honest about it, because there are other people. The people who you want to give you money are just you. Yeah, I'm just a guy who really likes those people.
I'm really super stoked. I'm doing all the engineering right now, writing the code, and so it's the people I brought on board for the content, for the art and the writing are just doing such a fantastic job. I'm super stoked every time they're bringing a new character to life or a new background and stuff. And so yeah, it's just like I've got this great team working on this my dream here, which is pretty fantastic. So it's still early though. The build that's going to be released it's super early, super crunchy. Only maybe 10 minutes of gameplay, if that. But you'll see the beginnings of something. You're getting in early, and you'll see. Oh, I remember that game when it was just a little of this and a that, and you'll like.
Actually, I have that story with Minecraft. Yeah. Like way before I got big and everything, like I heard about it because I followed a bunch of indie stuff. This was back in college, and someone was like, "Oh, this game called Minecraft." It's like free out. So I downloaded it. I was like, "This game's dumb."
Yeah.
Like literally, you just walked around like you punch blocks and you put them down. That's all you did at the time. And I was like, I don't get it, and I deleted it. I played it for like 15 minutes. Yeah. And then Penny Arcade mentioned it when after like a year of development.
And you're like, oh.
And they're like, oh. Well, and now freaking like that's the game of the generation, right? So like, yeah, it's like that can happen. Like you keep focusing on it, you keep doing it. I actually want to point out something that was mentioned a little bit earlier. We might get to eventually, but S-Rain and a few of the others were talking about starting a subreddit. Yes, please. Actually, like I wanted to do this, like get on this like the other day. So if you guys can start that up, that would be awesome. I would love to be able to like keep this sort of discussion going all the time, be able to share things with you guys, and have us maintain the subreddth over the life of the game.
And maybe I'll learn to understand what a fucking Reddit.
We will teach Don the ways of Reddit. Through the Starr Mazer Reddit. We'll hold his hand and
how
bring
many
him on the
updates
journey.
can I get on my butt post?
Don't. He'll figure it out as soon as we show him what it can be. So yeah, let's do that. Let's get the subreddit going. Send us the link for it, and we'll hop in there.
I'm gonna try to tear through some of these questions over here. Amanda Maurer, will you guys be at PAX East? Yes, we will be at PAX East. Not all of us, but some of us. It'll be great. Laser Kids. So, question for everyone: would you guys like a Starr Mazer fan forum so you can pester each other between episodes of Starr Mazer TV?
And that's falling on the subreddit.
That's falling on the subreddit. I think we should focus all that toward the subreddit so I can up dicks and butt poops and whatever else. I don't understand the Reddits. Yeah. Okay, so I know that somebody's starting, Fuzzy is starting an IRC channel, which there are going to be bots kind of living in and stuff. Starr Mazer IRC, which if that Starr Mazer IRC does get set up and I get maybe emailed the information, I'll probably hop on there and be on there a little bit, like while I work on stuff. So run that. That'll be pretty great. Starr Mazer, is there a point-and-click adventure game you hate? Oh, God. Yeah?
What?
I'm gonna say something, man.
Hate
you're gonna. No, I hate. We're gonna compare this to earlier episodes, and I'm gonna get just like roasted.
Okay.
Fuck Loom. Fuck it. I was obsessed with Loom when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with it. I got it for. I used to have it for the Turbo Graphic, the Turbo Duo. I had it for PC. I played it on PC, fully voiced. I played it with MIDI only before it was fully voiced. Then I got it on CD, played it fully voiced, loved it. Then I got it on the TurboGrafx and played it, but I think I only liked it because I'd played it so many times on the PC. I knew like how to get through it. I tried on my PC, I fucking hated it. I tried it on the TurboGrafx, I fucking hate it. Everything takes an hour to do anything, just walk. It's not
a walking
intuitive.
simulator.
It's a walking simulator, but it's like a slow, shitty walking simulator with no indication of what's actually happening. I know it came with a book that probably told you a lot of stuff, and I probably read it a lot when I was a kid. I loved Loom when I was a kid. Oh man, it was the best. But nope, fuck it. No longer. It's the worst. I want to love it so much. Also, Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers was a horrible game. Yeah, it was.
Despite being a main inspiration.
It was one of the primary inspirations of Starr Mazer.
Right?
When I was a kid, I played it and I learned about Louisiana, New Orleans. Yeah.
The Bayou.
Yeah, I learned about New Orleans. And it was really cool because that actually at the time mapped out actual places. There are stores in there that actually still exist in New Orleans you can go to. which is pretty like Dixieland Drugstore exists in like real life, and you can go there, and it's really cool. And I went there when I was 13. The only reason I went on a band trip. The only reason I went was to like go do this. Yeah, that's awesome. And I did, and it was really neat. And it was life changing, but the design was horrendous. Like it was a pixel hunt. Everything was obscure and esoteric and difficult. Going back and listening to it, the voices suck. They're famous people. Tim Curry's in that. Michael Dorn's in that. Why did it suck? Those guys are both incredible. What happened? So yeah, whatever. It was great. Michael Dorn's incredible. He's a good guy.
So there isn't a point and click that I really hate, but there was one that drove me insane with rage, which was Task Times in Tone Town, which is
Task Times.
The old game, 1985.
I don't even know that.
It's
I've never heard of that game.
I think it's on freeware Moby Games or something like that. But the thing that frustrated me about it was not the game, but I was saving up to get that for my birthday.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I went down to Fry's Electronics and I got it. I got home. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. And it didn't work in my PCAT. And I was like, oh man, that was like it was a scene. I had a scene, 9-year-old nerd scene, and it was so. But then I had to go to my friend's house and play it, and that was as a game, it's a little weird, but still, that thing where you take it home and it doesn't work.
It's the worst.
So that was the worst. So I kind of, by one degree remove, I hated it.
There's one section in Neverhood that's the worst section.
Now the Neverhood though.
Neverhood's incredible. The Neverhood is actually the main inspiration.
I love the
I've talked about fucking every episode. I talk about that guy.
Yeah. And here you're doing it for this one. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, his what's the one he's doing now?
Armorcrog
looks so good.
I embarrassingly I did a contract gig and used nearly all of the proceeds to back Armorcrog.
Yeah.
That's how pathetic. Pathetically obsessed I am. And
his comic books are great
every
too.
day, I have to say, this is God's truth. I go into our backers notifications and search for Tenafall just to see, and I get none.
Oh,
none.
Sorry.
Maybe
one day.
I bet like a small motorcycle's worth of money went toward Armorcrog.
Whoa.
And
are you in the game as an actual claymation figure?
No, I didn't even. I don't even. I think I picked the lowest level and then just increased my money all the way up. So. Because I wanted to actually support it, not support it to get something, which is not a thing. I'm being crazy.
Yeah.
I'm being totally insane. I'm describing.
It's not actually supported.
No, that's just me being crazy.
Yeah.
But it was.
What's the scene in Neverhood? Do you remember that was so whacked out?
The rat one.
I don't remember that part.
You had to sit down and take a notebook. The rat. It was honestly, it was mathematically improbable that a human being would figure this out without some form of aid. It was 9 holes by 9 holes.
Oh, okay.
And you the rat would come out. You'd put the cheese, and the rat would go in. It was cheese, a Swiss cheese. Yeah. And you'd have to click, and the rat would go in one hole and come out another hole. Okay. And there was a matrix of I think if you do that with 9 by 9 actual, it's hundreds of thousands of options, and it just fucking clicking and just. And the animation that the rat would, because it was all claymation, it was really good.
Gorgeous.
So the rat would be like. And it would go inside, and then you'd wait, and then it'd pop out another one, which looks really cool the first 3 times.
Yeah, but afterwards.
But after 946, shut up, move, God!
You gotta turn that sound effect way down. You gotta make it real subtle.
It was the worst. So I had the freaking graph paper, and I was freaking A to B. And I had to I did alphabet, but I was a kid, so it was A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then I got to the point where I did the matrix. I continued the alphabet. Because I thought you need it. It was a big fucking mess. It was horrible. And I played it recently, and I was literally, this is how I played the game. Click, click, click. Oh, the rat part. Okay. Click, 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 click. Fuck it. And then move on. That was, but the game is incredible. Yeah. But I hated that part. That one part. It was the worst. Yes. Reddit.com/r/Starr Mazer exists. Is that a subreddit?
Yay! There's a subreddit.
Cool.
Yeah, I made one. I made it a month ago, but it was private. So I just made it unprivate.
Okay. So you'd been holding back.
Gotta claim that.
Alright, so now we have a thing. People were talking about whether to use the underscore. Now I think we don't use the underscore because that is a tag for all the websites, so everyone will know how to get there.
Yeah, Starr Mazer with no underscore or hyphen or anything like that is fine because StarRmazer.com doesn't have it. Twitter doesn't have an underscore.
So it'll be
nothing. So just ignore underscore. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit yeah.
Shit, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So actually,
Fuck
is it
yeah.
Digenko Dan has a good point. Says I didn't play too many point-click adventure games as a kid, but almost all of them have some kind of oh my god, how do I continue? That's true. I can remember playing quite a few of those where it's like, what do they want me to see? Like, do you guys have like a focus thing or like?
We do.
Yeah, so it's like no guessing.
Would you tell us about our
Yes.
non-pixel?
So I hate hunting pixels. It's the worst. Like that's not a game mechanic. That's annoying. It's just
That's
terrible.
not a game mechanic. That's annoying.
Yeah, and like there,
That's
it's
correct.
interesting because if you see the evolution, because I've been seeing like various point clicks we played, they kept making like steps towards fixing it. Like, oh, in this one, like if you mouse over something, it'll like show an icon of it or it'll like name it, but you still have to like look for it, right?
Yeah.
So I played a game very recently that I had a great time playing. It's called Read Only Memories, and they implemented a system where you could play the whole game with a gamepad or a controller. And so when you wanted to select something, you just cycled through it.
Yeah.
You just cycled through the options. You can still use the mouse, and when you mouse over it, it highlights it.
Yeah.
It lets you know this is the thing I can click. So that is the current iteration. That's what we're going to be doing in Starr Mazer. We'll be highlighting things that you can click on so that you know that they're clickable, and you can actually just cycle through them if there's something that you didn't find. Because we want you to actually focus on the interesting parts, which is solving puzzles, communicating, playing the game.
How slowly can I move my mouse across the screen so as not to miss a particular?
Exactly. Yeah. That is the worst. So it looks like all the questions are dealt with. We have solved all answers for everything. We will be wrapping up soonish. Probably in about like 20 minutes or so. So if you have any more questions that you want to ask, especially Charles, since he is our special guest today, please keep bringing them in.
Special guest. Thank you.
Yeah,
Not just a guest.
The special guest, the
Special
most special
guest.
of all the guests that we have today.
Right.
But anyway.
Way Forward Sigma Star Saga. No, I haven't played that. Man out of time right now. I'll go check that out.
Yeah, so Sigma Star Saga is a game that combined a horizontal scrolling shooter with a Zelda-styled combat game. I have not actually played it myself, but since it's been mentioned, I have looked it up. And there are things that I don't necessarily like about it. There are things that are cool about it, but it feels like they have like kind of solid horizontal sections. Once again, I haven't played it, so I need to play it to feel it. But the combat, the whole like Zelda portion of it, doesn't seem like it was well executed on, which is interesting coming from Way Forward because like they released Shantae the Pirate Curse, like they make good platformers, like they know what they're doing. This is an older game, so maybe it was a bit earlier in their cycle and they were still getting used to things, but the concept was interesting, but I think they missed upon the execution of it in certain regards. It could also have been limitations of the hardware because it was a Game Boy Advance game. So I mean, just making a Game Boy Advance game back in that time was difficult. You know, you didn't have Unity; you coded from scratch. So I'm sure there are things that went with the development cycle that made it not as great of a game as it could have been. But either way, it's still a different focus because it's getting its inspirations from two action games as opposed to an action and a narrative game. Let's see here.
What would you want to see in Starr Mazer? Maybe things you'd want into your game but can't, Charles. Oh my God, there's so much. My brain has so many ideas for so many things that I want to put in. And so, I mean, honestly, and it's a question of budget, really, right, and time. I would, right now we'll have some character, we'll have character conversations, and so you can talk to them, but we are unlikely to have like a really big like RPG system where you have like skills and things like that. That's probably out of scope for this game. I probably would want more in the way of, well, I mean, actually, content for you guys to explore. Like you guys have heard me talking about this universe to visit, and I can only build out so much of it for you, and I would love to build out more. So I think budget allowing, I would definitely be throwing, because we have so many ideas for different bad guys and plots and spaceships, and so we have to part of the process of making any kind of software project or game is setting your boundaries and saying this is the thing we're gonna pull off. I think also, I think that's probably the main thing in terms of mechanics. There's a lot of little mini games that we've thought about that are kind of fun. There's one, actually, I'll go ahead and share this with you, and this probably won't be in the final game, but we'll see what we can do. There was this thing where Kamal is a cop, And so what happens to the criminals you catch? Well, you take them to court. Well, in the future, the legal system has been replaced by professional video game players. And so the court of law is actually a game that you play, kind of like Breakout, only you're playing prosecution versus the defense. And so, like, when you gathered evidence, you would get power-ups in the video game, and the judge would occasionally mess with you on the court of law. And so there was this kind of court mini-game that we prototyped. And it's fun, but it's kind of a secondary system. If the future Kickstarter is successful, we might put that in, or that might be one of the stretch goals. Thank you as well. There's a same question for Charles for his main characters as well. So I'll just mention the characters.
So where there be fourth wall breaking moments.
We're gonna try and keep that to a minimum, actually, because we have enough satire going on. I think that to amp it up. I don't know. The one rule I've given, I wrote these writing guidelines for my writers, and I said, okay, you have to make sure you say this and this, and every line has to say this, and every line has to say this paragraph of stuff, and then, but the last thing is, the most important rule that can break all the other rules is it funny? So if we have a joke that is funny, then yes, that's going in.
Breaks the rules.
Breaks the rules, but but you know, for the most part, probably won't have too much in the way of fourth wall break stuff there. So, what about Brick? Does Brick know he's in a video game? By the way, I love that stuff. I love Deadpool, which is like, you know, Mr. Breaking the Fourth Wall in the Marvel Universe and stuff.
Brick does not know he's in a video game. That's kind of breaking out. Like, Space Quest did that a ton. Yeah. And I was originally super inspired by that, and there was going to be all kinds of, but as our story progressed and we figured out kind of who Brick was and what his ultimate story was, we decided that wasn't going to be the case. It doesn't mean the game doesn't know. Somehow, if that makes sense. There's not going to be a narrator going, oh, looks like that guy clicked in the wrong place or whatever. But yeah, no, he doesn't know. So
actually, it's funny you mentioned that. One thing we're going to do, actually, we have a narrator because when our writers were describing some of the scenes, they wrote these passages that were like narration trying to describe what was happening, and they were so funny. We're like, oh, that has to go in the game. Like, you know, like they were describing this planet when you land, right? And so I was like, oh my God, that's a description. That has to go up on screen where people can read it because that's really funny. And so, like for example, in Commander Kamala, when you land, that's a text adventure as well. So you know, there may be some images there, but there isn't like a 3D walking around. It's mostly 3D space. Yeah. That actually 3D walking around characters. That would be awesome, but that's like a whole separate game. Basically, at that point, is
you have to blend two disparate genres to be able to make that game.
And that's impossible.
Yeah. So I don't know. But maybe I guess guys can pull it off. It's more about the budget.
The 3D thing.
Sure.
We're not doing that. Like that. So, yeah.
And so in terms of just characters and stuff, it's the 3D characters would probably just be out of scope for the game. But so anyway, we actually have a narrator, which is a little bit kind of a little bit off to the side there in terms of
kind of cool. Yeah. You mentioned Bastion earlier, and Bastion, of course, is known for that incredible narration system.
Yeah, but Bastion is the voice acting that just totally sells it. And that part, I'm not sure we're going to have that yet.
You thought the writing was dicks, though.
No, I thought the writing was good.
No, I'm just kidding.
The writing was good, and definitely the story there was, the story was as compelling as the gameplay. Yeah. And so that's kind of one of our touchdowns.
But it was less so in Transistor.
I haven't played Transistor yet. It's on my list of, I'm sure all you guys at home, I have the queue of 50 Steam games I haven't played, right? And it's like, oh, that sounds awesome, click. And I'll get to that in 2018 because there's no way that I can,
Yeah, Starr Mazer has to come out before I can play my dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Clovis15 asks, Dear Don, what's your favorite graphic adventure puzzle that you got stuck on and later realized was painfully simple when somebody finally gave you the answer? This one's simple. This one goes back to me as like a core human. In Return to Zork in like 1993 or whatever, one of my most memorable moments, I think this was a thing for a while. I tried to convince Austin that it was cool, but he didn't like get it, I don't think. But if you were my age and you played adventure games, you spent a whole summer going, want some rye? Course you do. Which is it's a line from a character named Booze.
You made me watch this whole thing.
Yeah.
It was awful.
His name is Booze. And you need to get him to tell you something interesting. And he continues, he says a whole bunch of dumb shit, and he's always going, want some rye? Course you do. And then you can have a drink with him. Which, by the way, I've never had a drink. It was a weird experience at 13 to have to have a drink with the bro. And so I did, and nothing happened. Want some rye? Horse you do! And he's on this rocking chair, and it's like this weird, like, shitty full motion video turned to pixelated.
Right. Oh, that was the day.
Right.
It was text
Horse you
games
do,
with
yeah.
like video
Yeah.
inserts. Yeah, yeah.
So the trick is the puzzle, if you can call it a puzzle, is like you have to fucking just keep drinking with him like over and over and over again, and eventually he like passes out. But I didn't even know that was a thing. I was 13. I'd never like done any drugs, had any cigarettes, done any kind of, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that like I did the thing, I drank the drink or whatever, and he just kept doing this. I was like, oh, so it's like every other game where you do the thing and it doesn't have an effect. You have to do something else. And it wasn't until somebody was like, no, son, y'all need to like drink until he passes out. And I'm like, is that
a thing?
a thing? And so that was it. I fucking, nope. It's the worst. I called it my favorite because me and 7 other kids yelling, want some rye? Not even knowing that rye was alcohol.
All right.
Of course you do. For like 7 months was probably the best thing on, like, if you were an alien flying by our planet and scanning for intelligent life, and you pass over like Detroit, and you just see this pack of kids, you just be like, nope, and fly on.
You warded off an
Yeah,
invasion.
an
is what
alien
you're telling
invasion
us.
left
Thanks.
because of it. Chiptide says, Starr Mazer, what would you want to see in Starr Mazer? Maybe things you could want in your game but can't. And then Charles will ask in a second.
Oh,
Well, he already
Yeah,
answered
did that.
that.
Oh yeah. So Starr Mazer, look for Starr Mazer 2. Like everything we're not putting in, we're gonna get another one. We kind of answered that one a little bit before. So sorry guys, the questions are whipping by. It's very cool. Somebody's talking about Descent. By the way, Descent is arguably, for me, I'm saying arguably only because there have been some modern games that is one of the best experiences I've ever had in a game. I played Descent with and I still have this. I fucking still own it, and I modified the shit out of it. I had a Mad Catz Panther XL. It was like a joystick with a trackball built onto it, and I actually took the rollers out and replaced it with a fucking laser mouse and had to scuff the ball so that the laser mouse could read the ball.
Nice.
And then I replaced all the springs and all the units inside. In Descent, it was my Descent controller. Like, this is your mouse look, the ball, forward, backwards, left, right. All you have 14 hat, but like 14.
Man.
It was just fucking Descent.
That's
All I did was play Descent 1 and 2 for years. Years, bruh. Descent was the first game I ever played local multi in a network. It was one of those deals where like having more than one computer was really weird. So I went to this rich kid's house who like he was like the rich fat kid who like nobody liked, but he had like 7 computers all set up. And so we all kind of got together, and you realize that this kid really wasn't a jerk. He just didn't know how to like deal with reality outside of his giant mansion house. And then you became friends with him because like, holy crap, he's actually a real human who like you had to break through that like, but my dad could buy your dad exterior.
Yeah.
That insecure kind of kid exterior. But we played Descent in multiple rooms on multiple floors.
Oh,
I
nice.
brought my it was just like fucking. I'd never done that. It was the first like LAN multi, and it was the best.
Now, so for me, like I can see Descent was a great game, but I could never play it. Like my brain could not handle the 3D up and down. I was just like that part of my brain does not work. So I would watch
we have
people
like
play it.
literally opposing brains. I turned off the auto leveling.
Yeah.
I would love.
Oh yeah, that was the only way I could do it. Was like, please get me pointing back up.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
There was no up because that's the whole
Yeah.
point. You're in the Vertigo one.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That there's no up.
There
You
is
turn
no
off
up.
auto leveling and you just spin. You're constantly. I just love
getting
shot.
getting kind of
It's the
seasick just
greatest.
remembering that game.
Yeah.
Doom I played until I had nightmares about it. So
yeah,
that was
Doom
like
is so good.
yeah. And I remember this. I mean, this is kind of. I remember Doom was one of the first games I played that had actually really good stereo, and I remember just spinning the joystick around, hearing the sound walk around my head. I was like, "That's amazing that they did that."
There's an irony that the sound was so localized, but the sprites were still built.
Yeah, they're billboarded, right? So the faces just kind of follow you around,
yeah.
and then you make games and you figure out why they do that.
Yeah, no,
because
you totally get
you
that.
totally need to do that
Yeah.
sprite thing. Yeah, no. Why is the gun always facing me? Well, that's the only picture they have in the game.
Yeah.
The gun.
And you'd have to get infinite pictures
Yeah.
otherwise, or a 3D model, which did not exist.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's a question here I want to answer. Jim's been asking for a little while, which is Starr Mazer doesn't have a take or a pickup command. So how do you actually pick up objects? You just use use. If it's an object that's hanging out there, then the use would be to take it or to actually use it.
I'd also like to point out that as this is a disclaimer normally we throw out there at some point we normally throw this out there, but we're making the game, It might be that 2 months from now, 3 months from now, shit, I could really use a take button.
Yeah.
And we use that. But right now, that seems to be the thing.
I am very much about like minimizing the amount of like things
Yeah.
to make them more context sensitive. Hopefully that'll work. Like actually, that's a challenge that we have in the shmup section right now. I have like 6 buttons. I need to narrow down to not 6 buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually did the same thing where we have different things where you can land, or you can open this menu, or you do an action, and the solution there is have the action button, right? And just because the other things aren't going to happen,
Right.
So just do action.
So yeah, you can't possibly do the other things, so why should it be available?
Yeah.
Somebody said, have any of us played Brutal Doom?
What
I've
is
definitely
that?
played that. Brutal Doom is a Doom mod. It's incredible. I was actually introduced to Brutal Doom by Keppa from Rocket Cat, who was hiding in another room, I think.
Fixes the sprite thing.
Yeah, they added it's
like different views.
Wow.
It's
Sweet.
pretty cool. Brutal Doom is super good, so that's pretty nice. There was another question. Part of me wishes Brick always tries to screw up the Gale by throwing impossible mathematical stuff at them and fails. That might be cool, because like the Gale are way smarter than Brick. There's no way he's gonna be able to outmath them. So yeah, NS Man has just finished 14 pages of illustrations while listening to us. Well, good work, NS Man. That's incredible.
A lot of work.
That's a lot of work, and we love it. So guys, it is 6:53 p.m. Pacific Standard
I need to
Time.
catch up on the amount of work that NS Man has just done.
We've actually, we didn't even stop halfway through and play games. We just talked. Everything has been going.
Powered through.
So in 7 minutes, we're gonna cut it and let this guy go home.
Go
Get
make
to work.
a game for you.
Yeah.
Do.
Triptide asks, Starr Mazer, what's the limit of adult subjects? Morality, human condition, sex, violence, worded individual, etc. So, okay, this was hard for us. I want to tell a mature story, but I want to tell a mature story that teaches people. So, I'm not trying to teach 45-year-old people. At 45, you got your shit kind of like worked out, and if you're going to be a bigoted dickbag, it's going to be much harder for me to teach you to not be a bigoted dickbag if you're 45. You worked it out. You figured out you're going to be a jerk. I'd like to maybe let people who are a bit younger than that figure out how not to be such a dickbag all the time. So I can't have super explicit stuff. We've already spent a long time pulling out language. I think we're going to stylize the language. He's not going to say fuck a bunch, but he's definitely going to like say strongly worded phrases, but just not in modern strongly worded stuff. There are going to be adult-ish situations. You're probably not going to have a lot of sex in the game. I don't know that it's needed for the story we're trying to tell. I'm not against it. Phantasmagoria 1 and 2, they were loaded with. I mean, there was like, wasn't there like a moment where like there are multiple rape scenes in those games?
Yo,
It's brutal.
It is brutal, but here's the thing: in the context of that story, it was brutal. And the lady who wrote those is like a famous writer lady, and they were given at the time. I mean, it looks kind of cheeseball now because it's FMV shit, but back in the day, it was given the weight that it needed or could have at the time. Those are things that some games will follow. I mean, that Dragon Cancer deals with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rough ass subject, and that game is. I am so on the razor's edge as to whether or not I want to just dive into it, because I want to, but I also don't want to like deal with that, and that's a hard thing. Starr Mazer's not that. Starr Mazer's about heroism, but what heroism actually is, and it deals with bigger, more spacey things, So yeah, it's I don't want to get too adult. I'm sure one day we'll make more adult. Like the Police Quest series. Great adventure games, and sometimes they got dark. You saw murder stuff, and you're examining a murder scene, and there's just like actual. Like, granted, it's all pixelated or whatever, but it was where they were projecting what it's like to really be a cop. Whereas Space Quest, that's nothing like it's really to be like any human, but you die every 30 seconds. So yeah, I really wanted to stay away from. We're making large gestures in the game, and I don't think you can appropriately manage heady subjects like sex or whatever else with large gestures.
Yeah. It's saying with Commander Kamala, like there will be nothing really adult themed. I mean, it's supposed to be very light, very humorous, quick with the jokes and the explosions. And just something that, hopefully we hit maybe a bit of a wider range of audience for that as well. And I too am a fan of I'm a fan of all sorts of games, but for this particular one, Definitely, it's going to be very light and humorous. It's just supposed to, and a lot. And actually, I consciously went that game because a lot of space games are very dystopian, very dark, very hardcore sci, and I'm like, there's a lot of those. I'm not sure I could compete with those, honestly.
Yeah,
and this is
Fallout.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, Fallout's not a space game, but it's a dystopian game.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to think of like, oh yeah, I could make a dystopian. No.
Yeah. There's
It's done.
Yeah, this cat. I mean, this is a very friendly cat. I'm a real animal person here, although I'm actually a dog person.
Oh, Scuzzy doesn't want to.
It's
not
okay.
Hear that.
Don't tell.
She does not want to hear that.
Yes, I'm a friend to all animals, so you're welcome to hang out here for
So-
the next 4 minutes.
Yeah. So I think I'm not dismissing games with more adult or less adult themes. Starr Mazer, most of the characters that aren't human, which are mostly characters, have some kind of funny. Like we just released a Slimo update last night describing Slimo, who's like an immortal dude with a little other dude living inside of him, and he's made of like semi-translucent gelatinous material. That and like the horrors of depression don't.
No, that
They're
doesn't.
not gonna mix.
No.
That's not this game. This is a fun kind of actiony game with some issues to talk about, but it's not primarily issues.
Space Quest was pretty authentic of what it's like to be a janitor in outer space.
Yes,
yeah, I suppose it was.
So I just came in to let you guys know that we should be wrapping up. We're going to go ahead and finish the show today at 7 p.m. Thank you guys so much for popping into the chat and talking to these fine fellas here about their respective games.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for joining me.
Triplet says Vanessa.
Hello, Triptide.
So yeah, I think there were a couple of questions that people mentioned that were not answered in the stream. So please either like send it to us like either on Twitter or on the Kickstarter, or email them to us because like we want to get to them. Or if we don't happen to get to them by then, just ask us tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And tomorrow we're doing things a little bit differently.
Oh yeah, this is important.
Never mind.
Yeah.
So pay very close attention to this.
Now there's all the pressure. So tomorrow we're actually going to be streaming live from set. We are going to be on at 4 p.m., so our normal time. But we are actually going to be behind the scenes of a shoot that we are doing. Because there's Imago Softworks, which is making this awesome Starr Mazer game, but there's also Imagos Films, which for years and years and years has been making incredible video game trailers, as well as feature films and other cool stuff. So you guys will get the unique opportunity to see what it's like for us on a almost not quite day-to-day basis, but what our other section is. And if something exciting happens with Starr Mazer and we happen to somehow amazingly get to do any kind of live action anything ever for it, that will be kind of a similar experience.
Yeah,
so please check it out.
You recognize that I'm the director of Starr Mazer, the game. I'm also the director of most of the projects that Imagos Films does. Kazuo is our behind-the-scenes and social guy for film stuff. Vanessa is an editor and our script supervisor. I'm the writer and director for stuff. And basically, Mariah is an assistant producer and actress. Josh Gelb, who is our producer, is also a producer for film stuff. So you'll see all the same people, just doing a completely different thing for just a couple hours tomorrow. I mean, we'll be doing it for like 12 to 14 hours tomorrow, but you'll see like a little bit more of what we do outside of games, which this will be the first time since we started the Kickstarter that we're doing anything like this. We're doing a 2-day shoot. We just couldn't move the dates around. We have to do it in the middle of the Kickstarter, which I'll let you know scares the hell out of me.
So tomorrow we'll do some behind the scenes, and then it's actually really cool because on Wednesday we're going to watch Austin. He's going to host the stream on his lonesome, and he's going to do some awesome dev work.
Yeah.
There will be less vinyl posters, but there will be more code windows.
Yeah. So you'll be get to see actual
that
code
one.
getting done by Austin. Austin, make sure to ask him all your crazy questions and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll be in the engine, so all the leaks.
Put a break point there.
Break
Break point there.
Yeah.
Step into that one.
Oh no, you need to be debuggers, man. That's a different way.
Okay.
That's
And
a
then
right
out
way.
of time, will this game be available on cassettes? The game
Yeah.
The game on cassette.
Yeah, you
I-
just gotta carry data in cassettes. Yeah.
I
Wow.
remember writing a program on them with ZX81 Sinclair
Nice. The Sinclair's
saved to a tape deck.
Yeah.
So
it used beeps.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I
Shoot,
didn't
so
realize
Charles,
that.
you can port our game over to the.
I'm gonna
the-
port it to ZX81
Nice.
Sinclair.
You should- there's this
One
German
of
kid
the
I knew
sprites might be larger than the term memory of the system.
There's this German kid I knew once who used to go to school, and he had with him like his backpack and this like handle with a large rectangular box. It was like this big,
Uh-huh.
and what it was with this vinyl covering.
Mhm.
When you unbuttoned the vinyl covering, you laid it down, unbuttoned and opened it up. It was on tape, every episode of Knight Rider, on tape, and he carried it around in a long box with a handle. He just carried it with it, and at all times he just always had. You could just pull out an audio tape. We need to do that, but for Starr Mazer, like it should be every piece of
Iteration.
information.
You just take the tapes
audio
in any
diaries,
order.
right.
You
Yeah.
play it out.
It'll be the greatest. It'll be the greatest.
Vic 20.
Um,
Oh yeah. Respect, Clovis.
So tomorrow's show is going to be unique and awesome, and Wednesday's show is going to be unique and awesome. Thursday we'll be back on the couch with a special guest, and then Friday, you guys know exactly what's happening on Friday at 10 a.m. starting Friday morning until 10 a.m. Saturday morning. We're going to be doing our 24-hour show. It's going to be insane.
It's gonna be
It's gonna
insanity.
be awesome.
But I'll let you all there. I'll be yawning a lot like this.
I may
Ugh.
or may
More
not
surges.
have purchased today on eBay a POG making machine.
A POG making device, ladies
I
and
don't know
gentlemen.
what that could mean.
Yeah.
We shall see.
So that'll be very cool. Please join us. Please, we got 4 days left, guys. 4 days to make Starr Mazer a thing. Up your pledges if you can. If you can't, thank you for pledging it all. Get your friends, get your mom's friends, get your mom's friends, dog's friends to do all of the backing. We want to hit those stretch goals. It's really important for us that we can get stretch goals. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank
Alright.
you guys so much for coming and joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. This is where we wave uncomfortably and tell